Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Grant Emery. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Onebrief. It's really good to be here. So everything you saw today costs money, and that's pretty rough. Today's macro conditions call on DoD to save money. That's why today I want to give you a live demo on how we've made military staffs fast and efficient. So I'm talking about optimizing the military staff. A long time ago, I served in several JTFs. I know a lot of you guys have too. And I thought the staffs we have are so far from what's possible. That is, with the right tools, we could reach better decisions months earlier than we do, and do it with a far smaller staff than we use today. So I got out of the Army, and my team and I built Onebrief, a product that automates what can be automated and makes collaboration easy between large commands. And staffs love it. So 2 indicators of that. Indicator 1, usage is growing very quickly. Last quarter, we achieved a 5,700% annualized growth rate in our operational usage. And this quarter, we're actually growing even faster than that. Today, we're in broad use across the 3 largest combatant commands in 14, 3- and 4-star headquarters and counting. Indicator 2, one of our customers' own studies found that Onebrief made their headquarters twice as fast and twice as efficient as it was without Onebrief. That's not our finding, it's the government's. And while a 2x gain is huge, and it's actually the basis of the cost savings estimate that I made at the beginning, we can do way more than that. I think everyone here is tracking how fast AI is moving, and we can achieve at least 100x efficiency gain in the next 2 or 3 years. So, ladies and gentlemen, time for the fun part. Let's do a live demo. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is a fairly large product, but if you know one principle, you know the whole product, which is everything is a card, which I think you're familiar with in many, many software products. It's these guys that I'm dragging and dropping here. Every fact, every assumption, every risk, outcome, end state, every military unit, every task, they're all reusable cards. And cards carry data, like who's doing it, and when, and where, any custom fields that your command may require. Cards are either generated manually or automatically in some ways that we'll show you later. And they've got an audit trail of every change that anyone has ever made. And most of the rest of this demo is just showing you the different places these cards are used to make your staff very, very efficient. So what you're looking at right now is a sync matrix. It's a very small sync matrix. I chose the Nepal earthquake, even though most of what we do is more kinetic, because the Nepal earthquake is one of very few fully unclassified, not even CUI plans, so I can actually use real-world data here. What you're looking at now is a sync matrix, where if I change when the Pacific Air Force's crisis response group arrives in Nepal, it actually changes everything, including your op order, including your slides. And if I change a key date, everything that depends on it changes too. And that actually reflects in my slides. I know a lot of you have spent some time creating slides for the military. We still do that, just a little faster. So I'm going to insert the sync matrix here. This is actually live data that I'll be able to manipulate to make visually what I need it to be. And if the sync matrix should change, my slide changes too. I'm going to do the same thing here with some lists. So let's get the tasks to PACF and tasks to USERPAC. Pardon me. A couple of things to notice there. One is that your slide is made very, very quickly. I've watched planners spend the entire day working on serious intellectual tasks and then build their whole deck in less than 10 minutes. And the other thing to notice is that there's only one list called tasks to PACF. It's not possible to be out of sync. If you change it here, it'll reflect with your subordinate units in your written order and anywhere else that's required. And finally, there's a bunch of little automations. You might have seen the classification updated automatically. Let's look at that same principle on maps. So, ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot of map in this map. We can actually integrate with most common operating pictures. So you plan directly on top of your COP. We can accept most NGA maps, NGA overlays, custom satellite imagery as needed. But one of the very interesting things is that if I change the card, it actually updates the map right away. And if I change this area of operations, it'll update across all of my units, all of my slides. I'm going to go ahead and clip that map. And if I paste it into a slide, it is the live data, so it's not an image. I've seen a lot of pretty silly things on staffs, and one of the things that I've seen is people decline to change a bad battlefield geometry because they're afraid that there will be hundreds of slides across many different units out of sync. And obviously they're right, but it's pretty straightforward to fix that. Let's take a look at a couple other areas where we synchronize and automate certain parts of your data. So I've got a command relationships chart here. Maybe some of you have spent all day making one of these in PowerPoint. I know I have. And if I change this relationship from TACON to OpCon, what you're going to see in the written order and everywhere else in your plan is that Task Force Dragon is now OpCon to forward command element JTF 505. So let's take a look if that's true. So I've got a written order right here. And you'll see this text, no one wrote it, it was auto-generated, and it's changed properly. Task Force Dragon is now OpCon to forward command element JTF 505. If you've not done op orders in the past, they're real pain, and they take quite a lot of time, and if you do them right, you can make your headquarters go a whole lot faster. I'm going to insert a list here, let's call it assumptions, and it will insert in the proper format, approved by the Chairman of Joint Chiefs of Staff instruction, and it'll be synchronized data. There's a lot of collaborative features I've not gotten a chance to show, but if I make a comment, you'll get it in your notifications, and we end up able to synchronize everyone. Actually, we've gotten 5 echelons deep so far. I want to show you one more piece of functionality. This is our second most important, and it's one of several ways that data gets into Onebrief. And this particular way is through file import. So we can accept any Word, PowerPoint, Excel, PDF, KML, KMZ, Shape, CSV, and we can turn it into cards. So I've just done that out of this PDF. Let's call that manifest demo. And I'm going to reuse these cards now, and I could put them in a commander's whiteboard, in a slide, in an order, in a sync matrix, in anything. In this case, I'm going to make a warning order. And what you should see here is that they inserted correctly. And more importantly, let's say that I'm briefing, say, Admiral Paparo, and he's like, where did you get this? During the brief, he asks a question, and I click the card, and it actually takes me right back to the original source on the correct page with the source text highlighted. All right, ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot more of demo I could show you, but the constraints of 10 minutes are very real. So I've got a couple of final thoughts for you, and then we'll sign off. So we're live today on SIPR, NIPR, JWIX, and Centrix K. And what that means for you practically, because a lot of folks here from commands that could personally use Onebrief, is that if your command does choose to buy with O&M, we can implement same day, and our team is able to do that. Meanwhile, at something of a larger scale, there's a couple of the services that actually have so much usage already that an enterprise license would be way more cost effective. And if that's you, well, we're ready to have that conversation. So to conclude, on a per dollar basis, fixing military staffs is the single most important thing in all defense tech in terms of impact per dollar that the services and the joint force can do. And the reason for that is both as a source of just massive cost savings. There's a lot of staffs out there. And as, well, to get the superhuman decision speed that will allow you to deter and, if necessary, win the war. Ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate this. Thank you.